Welcome back, Wolfpack Verlis here, and today we're looking at Cofagrigus. So, Brendan, one of the patrons that has donated, wanted me to review Cofagrigus and come up with a lot of crazy strategies, and boy, this Pokemon is surprisingly diverse. I was looking into a lot of set options, and you can do a lot of cool and crazy things with Cofagrigus for sure. This set is one of the sets I was thinking about for pretty much checking almost every OP Pokemon in the metagame. That this set handles both physical and special Aegislash, and a lot of other very strong Pokemon like Kangaskhan, Lucario. It's just really good. So the idea here is that what you're doing is you're giving yourself a little bit of a special attack to where you can one-hit KO Aegislash in Blade form. So the idea is you can endure Shadow Ball from an Aegislash, Citrus Berry pops, and that means you actually get a little bit of health back for the next Pokemon. You can throw back a Shadow Ball, and it's going to be a KO, depending on the investment. But for the most standard set, it will KO, which is pretty solid. On top of that, I mean, you have Will-O-Wisp to really just take out Kangaskhan. You have Will-O-Wisp for also neutralizing Lucario. It'll take away the adaptability if they make contact because of the Mummy ability, and then you're also reducing its physical bulk, and you have enough special defensive bulk to be able to handle it pretty well with Pain Split and hitting it with Shadow Ball. Same thing for Mega Mawile. Mega Mawile has to make contact at some point. You can survive everything as long as it hasn't used Swords Dance with this setup, which means throw down that burn, its attack gets halved, and then its pure power gets taken away from it, which means it's dropping to about a quarter of the attack it should have, while you're Pain Splitting and hitting it with Shadow Ball as well. Now, Citrus Berry is just kind of the option for the immediate burst sustain, that if it is an incredibly powerful Pokemon, you might need to get that health back to be able to handle it over the course of a couple turns. Instead of having Citrus Berry, or instead of having leftovers give you 1/16 every turn, you're getting 1/4 in that power turn that you need it. But you can also run leftovers if needed. Pretty much the big thing that makes Cofagrigus is its Mummy ability. Takes out a lot of physical threats that if they make contact, they lose their ability. That's kind of busted, because now they don't have anything to do. A lot of people will also run knockoff on Cofagrigus, so now they don't have an ability, and now they don't have an item. It starts getting kind of crazy. But the thing about Mummy is your opponent will then gain Mummy, so that means if you make contact onto them, your ability is removed. But why can't we use that in our favor with Slaking? You can actually use Slaking in doubles and singles, depending on how you can use it. If you can actually bait your opponent, like you switch in Cofagrigus, and then they gain the Mummy ability, all you have to do is make contact, and now you lose your Truant ability as Slaking. That's kind of pretty crazy. So what I was thinking is you could go with like a full hit point attack invested Slaking. Now you have Slack Off, Earthquake, Fire Punch, Ice Punch, you know, great amount of coverage, and you're gonna have a huge amount of bulk and damage. So I mean, that's pretty awesome. Now, you can also use this in doubles. What I was thinking is, go crazy. Have a Key Berry on Cofagrigus. If hit by a physical attack, your defense goes up. So I was thinking you can go higher special defense investment. You still want the Bold Nature. Oh yeah, let's go and look. Like, you want the Bold Nature pretty much on every set. Those are the EVs on that set. With this one, I was still thinking, you know, Bold Nature, but 252, 252 in special defense and hit points. The rest into defense. You can also, I like just running that 240 hit points. You know, you can go 240, 240. Be a little more defensive bulky. The Key Berry is going to give you a lot of good boosts, and it's going to be really strong overall. On top of that, I was thinking you can make it like a really tricky kind of set. That first turn you can set up the Trick Room. Slaking, even though it does have 100 base speed, if you go with the 0 IVs, or if you get really low on the IVs, and you're also having that Brave Nature, which hinders your speed, a lot of Pokemon are very fast in the metagame. That this is at level 100, and it's 84. So if we drop to level 50, unless they're running like an intentionally slow Pokemon, you're still going to have that speed priority even with the 100 base speed in a Trick Room. It's kind of like how some slower Pokemon can make Choice Scarf work for them. It's the other way around, that if you don't put any speed investment, you can still put almost anything into a Trick Room, as long as you do it right. So you set up that Trick Room, Key Berry pops, now you're super defensive tanky. Now you're also going to have a good amount of special defense bulk, and Slaking is ready to just go to town without its Truant ability, and it has heal as well. Use Will-O-Wisp to disable physical threats, Pain Split for sustain, and Destiny Bond on, you know, that one. When you're almost on the last turn of Trick Room, or you're about to get knocked out, set up the Destiny Bond, trade 1 for 1, on top of all the other benefit you've done in double battles, so there's a lot of cool potential here. After that, you can also run Cofagrigus in singles, or doubles even, with an Assault Vest, that you max out its hit points, max out special attack, use its naturally high defense, and then put the rest for the special defense, and that Assault Vest is going to give you a lot of big pushing power for a decent amount of damage. Now, the thing about physical Assault Vest Pokemon is it feels like they take a little bit of damage, but they almost don't do enough back. Well, Cofagrigus has that 95 base special attack, so it's going to have a nice bit of hurt with it. I was thinking about going with the quiet nature, that way you don't lose it out on any of your defenses, and with this set you can also, you know, take off one of these and then go for the knockoff as well. If you do want to run that quiet, you don't really lose anything that is unnecessary on your attack. So you can get a lot of good bulk out of it. And then, you know, knock off the item, take away their ability, hit them with some really hard-hitting Shadow Balls and Dark Pulses, Energy Balls for coverage and all that. And, I mean, it's really solid. So when you're looking at, you know, you have a lot of options. This set doesn't really take too much damage, so you can play it as a good pivot Pokemon and just try to look for that super effective hit and make your opponent hurt more back. After that, this is what I mean by Cofagrigus. I keep saying after that you can do this, after that you can do that. There's so many options that Cofagrigus can run. With this, it has Calm Mind Iron Defense. It has the Curse Amnesia set up idea that what you do is, you know, if it's a physical threat, you use Iron Defense. If it's a special threat, you use Calm Mind. You have Chesto Resto for sustain, and then you have Dark Pulse for your hit all damage move that just does a ton of damage. So the ability doesn't really help you on a tanky standpoint, but on top of that, you know, if you can actually get set up and going, not a lot of Pokemon are going to be able to deal with you in this kind of state because you're just going to be way too tanky with that huge base defense and special defense that Cofagrigus has. It is an incredible tank. I'm wondering why more people don't use it. You have the Will-O-Wisp Disruption for physical threats, as well as the Pain Split or Rest for the sustain, and just a lot of good disruption that it can bring overall with that ability. Now, let's also look at some of the other things, like you can just give Cofagrigus leftovers, you can go for a more tanky setup, and then other moves that gets Haze, Knockoff. You have so many options that whatever your team needs, you can pretty much fit Cofagrigus in there as a physical tank, as a special tank, as a mixed tank, as some kind of pivot Pokemon, and I think it can do you very well. So, hope you enjoyed this guide, Brendan. Thank you very much for donating, and let's see, I came up with the Slaking idea. He really wanted to see how the Slaking combo worked. It's a bit risky to set up because, you know, you are dedicating that first turn to Trick Room and hitting, but Slaking is going to be really hard to KO on that first turn, especially if they're trying to do some kind of weird setup for themselves. You can maybe get a better setup out of it, and now without your True-On ability, you're going to be good. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you all have a nice day. That's how you use Cofagrigus.